All right, today I want to show you a video. I want to comment on a video that I found online, and it's concerning a young man who transitioned to a female, and he goes by the name of Jennings. That's his transgender name. Jennings, and some of you may have heard of Jennings. Jennings is an individual who is a transgender star now, and he has a show that's on TLC. And so I think the new season of this show just came out. I think it's like season 8 or something like that, but just came out. And there's an interesting part of or segment of this show that I found very interesting, to say the least. And so I want to dive into that a little bit. But before we get into it, I do want to encourage you, hit the subscribe button and notification bell so you can stay in the loop. What's the God's truth has going on. You don't miss out on any shows, interviews, or commentaries, or debates, shows, or interviews, or anything like that, right? You don't want to miss out on anything. So the best thing to do for you is to subscribe to the Gospel Truth. All right, with that said, let's check out this video, and I'm gonna do some commenting on this video as it goes through. All right, let's see what it says.
What was the first time that you had any inkling that this little boy, Jazz, was different?
The day she came up to me, and I'll never forget it, Barbara, she said, "Mommy, when's the good fairy going to come with her magic wand and change, my genitalia?"
How old was Jazz then?
2.
Now, this is absurd, right? So to give you a little bit of context here, this interview right here is with Barbara Walters back in 2013, right? This is before Jennings became a star, if you will, on a show TLC. I think it's called I Am Jazz on TLC. Anyway, this is before he became a star on this show, right? So this interview right here took place in 2013, and so here it is. This is the mother of the individual named Jennings. This is the mother, and you'll see the father also. You see his shoulder in the picture there. The father of Jennings, and so you hear that the mother says that at the age of 2, Jennings, her son at the time, told her that he was hoping that the fairy godmother will come and change his genitalia into a female's genitalia. Now, the absurdity that the mother would take this kind of nonsense serious is at an all-time high, right? All-time high absurdity. I have kids, right? And most people have kids. I have kids running around here with capes, putting capes on, putting masks on, screaming at their Batman and that they're Superman and that they wish they could be a superhero and things like that. I have sons who play with dinosaurs and make dinosaur noises and sometimes might even say, "Hey man, I'm gonna be a dinosaur when I grow up," or this and that. Children say all kind of absurd things, right? And so as a parent, do I say, okay, bet I'm gonna take that to the umpteenth degree of seriousness, and I'm gonna begin to transition my son or my daughter to a dinosaur or to try to become a superhero or anything like that? No, I'm not. It's a 2-year-old child that said this, right? The individual Jennings was 2 at the time of saying this, and this is why this is utter nonsense for a parent to take something that a 2-year-old says and pursue it with such aggression to the point to where now, 10 years later, Jennings has a show on TLC that's 8 years running, and he is probably the most popular transgender star out there, right? But what's interesting though is that listen to what else the parents say, but I also want you to listen to what Jennings says in the first episode of this new season.
At 2, Jazz came to you and said, "When is a good fairy going to, I guess, take off my penis?" Is
Right,
what she was
and
telling
make it into a vagina.
Right, and it's completely ridiculous, right? Completely ridiculous. And the mother took this serious. Now, what you're seeing here is the clip of the first episode of season 8 of I Am Jazz, right? So listen very closely to what Jazz says to her mother, or to his mother, should I say.
So, are you feeling like you wanted to start talking about? Are you okay?
I'm okay.
I'm going to cry. But
You know I can't get out of my head.
I know.
He can't get out of his head. You know, he cannot get out his own head, because as much as this individual wants to be something that he is not, it doesn't matter, right? Because God has designed this individual to be a man, to be a young boy at the time when he first, his parents came out and tried to change him. And now, 10 years later, as a young man, he's attempting to try to be a woman. And that is absolutely insane. And that's why we see this level of depression in this community. That's why we see this level of suicide in this community. That's why they see this level of animosity in this community, because they're attempting to be something that they're not. And as Jazz expressed, I'm in my own head, right? So it seems to me that there's this clear breakdown of a focus to where this person cannot be who God has designed them to be. And they're trying to be something else. It's really a sad, sad thing to see this.
No, listen.
It just doesn't stop.
It's okay. Give me a hug. It's okay. I know what you're going through. We've been there before.
No, it still doesn't stop now. And I'm already going back to negative.
But the more you're talking about yourself, it gets harder. You're digging in and you're...
Also, if you don't know about the whole Jazz Jennings things, this is not a young man who just liked to dress up as a girl. Jazz Jennings actually went through the whole surgical process of the whole thing, right? The whole thing. He went through the whole process. He got his genitalia cut off. He got everything changed, right? I think it's the bottom up surgery or the bottom surgery or something like that. This individual went through the whole thing. So you can imagine the level of depression that this individual is undergoing, because once again, he said that he's in his own head, right? He's in his own head. And that's a battle right there, right? That's a severe traumatic battle that this individual is fighting, because everything within this young man is saying that he's a boy, he's a man. But everything exterior, including the parents, is saying that he's a girl. He's a girl. And so he's fighting this inner battle, this inner fight, because majority because of the external influences. It's pushing this young man to be something that he's not. And it's really sad. It's really, really sad that this individual is being forced, essentially, to be something that he is not. He is a young man. He is a young man. And his mother and his father is forcing him to behave in this way. Because once again, this is something that they begin to transition this young man in at the age of 2. So you may say, well, he's a young man now, so he should be able to stand up on his own 2 feet. When you have had years of psychological influence, and I would go so far to say that psychological abuse that he's been under. Anyone who's ever had some sort of abuse in their life understand the difficulty of coming out of that, right? Of being able to stand on your own 2 feet and coming out of that, especially now that he has his own show. This is like a big money grab for them, obviously. He and I'm sure the parents are making tons of money off of this. So there's a lot of other tangibles, variables that go along with this idea of him standing on his own 2 feet and getting out of this, right? And if I'm not mistaken, I believe Jazz is actually attracted to women, right? So there is a big, huge battle going on inside with this young man, and it's extremely sad.
It's making you put a magnifying glass on what's already difficult as it is. So this is hard for you, I know, and you don't.
Well, it's going to continue to be hard for him, and it's going to continue to be a magnifying glass, and it's your fault, parent. It's your fault. This is what you call child abuse. This is child abuse right here, right? And so it's your fault. You can't try to comfort your own debacle, right? You can't try to comfort what you've done, right? So she's essentially trying to comfort and fix her mess up. She messed it up. She messed this young man up because once again, this started at the age of 2. This didn't start in the beginning of his teen years and he came to his mother and father and said, hey, I want to be a woman. No, this happened at the age of 2. So that tells you that the mother and father had tremendous influence, right? I wonder where the father was in this situation. What was the father doing? For the mother, because it seems that the mother is at the forefront of all this. And so it seems like the father is taking a step back. I don't know where the father is not being aggressive and saying, this is my son. He's in the fold too. It's a money grab for him too. It's a very sad thing. Sad thing.
No, we don't want to push you.
I know I'm the one doing it. Like,
I know, you're your own worst enemy.
I feel kind of all over the place and like my mind is very cluttered and not clear. And I really want to have that clarity. I really want to understand myself and be able to read my own soul and what I want. And it's just very challenging. And I think I'm kind of breaking down a little bit and spiraling into negativity.
I just want to feel like myself. Like, that's it. I don't
Like
care.
old Jazz?
All I want is to be happy and feel like me, and I don't feel like me ever.
And you notice what he said. I don't feel like me ever. That's because that is not you. It's not you. It's not who God has designed you to be. You are made in the image of God. God has designed you to be a young man, a boy, a young teenager, a young teenage boy, and then a grown man. That's what God has designed you to be. And if you try to be something, if you try to fit a square peg in a circle hole, it's not going to fit. And once again, this falls right into the parents' laps. To take a 2-year-old child and try to conform this child to be a girl when this child is a boy is absolutely 100% categorically child abuse. And there's no other way around it. It's really sad to see this, right? This is a phenomenon, a relatively recent phenomenon that we're seeing across this whole nation. We just seen recently them fighting. We just seen recently a transgender shoot up a school of Christians. A Christian school, killed 6 people, three children included, and not 6. Right? So we see this is a very, very real thing. And it's a really sad thing to see this individual, Jazz Jennings, understand that this is not who he is. And he feels it on the inside because it's the spiritual turmoil is real. And that's what actually takes people out. When people commit suicide because of this, and the suicide rate is extremely high. When people commit suicide because of this, it's because of the spiritual turmoil that these individuals are going through on the inside. And once again, this falls right in the lap of the parents. This is on the parents' hands. If something happens to Jazz, something of this extreme nature happens to Jazz, it's on the parents, right? Because this is child abuse right here. To try to conform your child to something that he is not. It's really difficult thing. And in this clip right here, you see, it appears that this clip right here shows him binge eating to try to supplement for the depression that Jazz is experiencing. He is binge eating. So you saw in a former clip there, the clip that we just saw, that Jazz was a lot bigger, heavier. And in this clip, you see that Jazz is a lot skinnier, a lot slimmer. That's because the binge eating has garnered Jazz that weight gain. And if you know anything about depression, eating is a sign of depression. If you just eat and you just gorge, you binge eat, that is depression 100%. Ask anyone who's obese. Ask anyone who's dealing with weight problems. Binge eating is a real issue. And so we see here Jazz attempting to binge eat to supplement that depression.
Binge eating
I know
for
better.
years.
I've been in this place before. I shouldn't be making these mistakes again.
All right, so you see that video, and so I just want to comment on the video and just express the damage that this transgender phenomenon is taking onto these kids, to these young children who grow up with this in their life, and it's completely damaging. And we're praying for Jazz to come out of this, right? We're praying that God will do a work in Jazz's heart so that he will come and live a life that God has designed for him to live, right? God is, I hope God that does an amazing work in Jazz's life, that he will get out of this lifestyle and break away from the parents, because I think this is a money grab for them. I think perhaps that the mother wanted a daughter, because they have two sons. They have twin sons, I believe. And I guess the mother might have wanted a daughter. You know, that could be a possible reason why this has been done, right? The mother might have wanted a daughter. And so if I can't have a daughter biologically, I'm going to force a daughter onto my son. Boom. Right? And so this is just, you know, a crazy phenomenon that's going on right now. I do if you guys haven't heard about the book, Irreversible Damage by Abigail Shire, I do recommend that book. That book is crazy. It's amazing. She's done a great work as far as articulating and explaining the phenomenon that is transgenderism that's going on right now in this country, and how she explains it's more of a fad than it is a real thing. This is not to say that people don't suffer from gender dysphoria or anything like that. Perhaps there are people out there that suffer from it, right? Perhaps there are real cases out there, but nonetheless, a vast majority of them are false, and it's just a leaning of the trend. And to think that this country are attempting to say, well, kids can have these surgeries, and kids can take these hormone depression pills, to depress the hormonal responses of the body. They're saying that kids, minors, are able to take these medicines and have these surgeries without their parents' notification, without their parents being known of these things. It's amazing to me. It's absolutely flabbergasting to me to think that such things are happening. And it is our duty as believers, as parents, to protect our children from this craziness, because as you can see in the media, everything else, they are trying very hard to jam our children with all this stuff, transgender, the LGBTQ, everything, the whole alphabet, right? They're trying to jam and push this on our kids, right? And we want to make sure that we protect our kids. So that's all. I just want to share that video with you. I pray that it's helpful for you. Once again, check it out. Check out the Irreversible Damage by Abigail Shire if you want to be up more on what's going on. And once again, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can stay in the loop for more content. All right, take care. God bless.